That was pretty good. That was pretty good right there. Wow. Okay. That ended up really, really nice, actually. I have been working on that, by the way, since like 2 a.m. this morning. I was working with Tom F., who you have seen in the chat right there, on, the music and what I wanted right there, and he was able to do an incredible job getting some tracks from his side, and man, it just sounds absolutely awesome. That came out really, really well. Also, big shout out to my brother right there who animated the logo kind of creeping up right there. Very, very cool stuff. Hope you liked it. Hey, welcome to Vash Sky ParkCast, our first official content on this channel right here. I'm still working on a video, by the way, featuring Josh Diamaro. But, before that comes out, because it has grown in scope, I mean, folks, I'm talking about, we're going all the way back to his high school days, where he was, I believe it was a Midfield High over there in Boston, Massachusetts. Hey, fun fact, do you know what Josh Diamaro was called in high school? He did play on the basketball team. Do you know what he was called? He was called Chief by those people. Oh, yes, by his fellow classmates right there. So, Chief Josh Diamaro, well, he is in town as the chief executive officer over there at the Walt Disney Company. And man, is there so much to go over regarding that whole thing. But I do appreciate the producer in the back right there putting up some of your amazing chats right there. You are really lighting up this chat. Thank you so much. Looks like everybody really appreciated that intro. Awesome stuff. Let's go ahead and bring on some amazing people to help me with this first show right there. Hey, sometimes we might not have any panelists. Very good, very interesting. But today we have some amazing friends. We've got to bring them on in order to help us out here. It is the one, the only, this magical MJ right there, and Erika from Erika and Raph. Guys, how are you guys doing this evening here on Vash Sky ParkCast?
Oh, that intro was awesome.
That was awesome.
Thank you.
I love it.
I very much appreciate that. I was kind of worried. I was like, oh man, what is this intro going to be? I had I think 2 days to do it. And, my brother had worked up an intro actually, this going back to, that Park Place and even T3PO. He had something, countdown, awesome, looks great, but he could only render 500 frames per day of that intro, and we needed 5,000. And it was like, we can't, there's no way. I mean, it would take, 9 days or something to get that intro, and it's like, can we do something in the interim? And so I really started to, think how I was going to do it. He started thinking what he was going to do, and I scrambled to call Tom F, and I'm like, hey, you're the only guy who can do this. And sure enough, we actually got it there. So awesome stuff for sure. Erika, I know Tom has helped you out with your channel. Please, if you don't mind, go ahead and tell everybody where they can actually find you over there at Erika and Raph.
Oh, gosh. So we have a live stream on Fridays at 2 p.m. after that Park Place, and we called it Brood Banter. And I don't know, it was ChatGPT actually picked the name. I'm getting a lot of questions on where'd you come up with that clever name? Oh, ChatGPT, because I'm not that clever. So I needed something that was, not too feminine, something that would be for both of us. We're married, been married for almost 23 years. So anyway, but yeah, we just figured, the whole thing of the channel is hanging with Erika and Raph. So I figured, let's just start live streaming so people can actually hang out with us. We can just sit around and have coffee and chit chat, which is our favorite pastime with friends and family, is just sitting around talking, just talking life, hanging out. And so far, so good. It's crazy how fast an hour and a half or even 2 hours goes when you're just bantering, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh yeah, it's time to wrap.
Well, yes, it is interesting. Forming your own show, forming your own kind of style, who you're gonna actually have come on, what tone you're actually going to set. Very interesting. I think you guys did a tremendous job, though. I really wanted to shout Erika out from the onset here because she has been tremendous with helping me with my own channel, with what I've been doing here. I don't think I would even be in this position without Erika. That's how much her
you got
advice, her
this.
friendship means to me. So
You've been doing this for so long, and if anything, you've helped us out a lot, especially with all this technology I wanted to throw across the room on several occasions.
yes.
And you actually got to witness me have to hand the phone to Raph and be like, I can't right now because I'm just going to cry.
I've been there. In fact, I was actually trying to troubleshoot Tom up. Your issues, Erika, very, very simple compared to Tom's. As you can imagine, he has quite the setup right there. But thankfully, we were able to get it working, at least, somewhat. I want to go ahead and get into a little bit of conversation right here. We have, 110 of you out there right now. Unbelievable.
First stream. Holy cow.
That's tremendous. Thank you so much, everybody. Wow, this is really blowing the doors off here. Which, by the way, we are only a couple away from crossing that 500 follower. Thank you, MJ. Do appreciate that. We are only a couple away. Yeah, she's in the background right there producing for me. MJ, you are keeping it very lively. Absolutely phenomenal right there. You see, Erika, this is what I get. I went ahead and showed her a couple of the buttons right there. Well, there you go. But that's okay. She is doing a tremendous job. Thank you so much. No. I was talking. What was I going to say? Well, I lost it right there. I don't know what I was going to say. Anyway, all in the past right here. It is so very interesting how all of these things eventually do come together. And yeah, we are only we're only a couple away from actually reaching that 500 goal, that threshold that YouTube has on any new channel for monetization and so forth. So please go ahead, if you have not subscribed yet, please go ahead and subscribe. I promise you will not regret it. And yes, we're getting maybe 1,000 by March. It's I would love that, but you know what? I am employed by you guys, so any goals that we reach, it's because of you, and I'll be working extremely hard to reach any milestones you place on me. So thank you so much. Seriously, yeah, it would be awesome to overcome that 500 limitation, maybe on this stream. But hey, who knows? All right, let's see right here. I gotcha. I think we have a couple of stories here that I wanted to go ahead and get into because I just think some of the stuff is absolutely fascinating. And it's this one right here. We did cover it on that Park Place, but we'll cover it a little bit more in depth. Here you go from, that Park Place. Josh Giamaro admits guests don't love Millennium Falcon Smuggler's Run ahead of Mandalorian rebrand, despite Chamblee, February 17, 2026. We won't read this article. Instead, I want to go ahead and go to the source, which was actually an article off of HBR. Had not heard of them before prior to this quote right here, but say, Levy, this is where that's actually from. And it's supposed to be a broader article talking about leadership and corporate CEOs and so forth. They do focus, obviously, on Josh Giamaro, who's going to be the next CEO. I want to go ahead and read this because I think it's very, very interesting. Okay. Take one last example from my time at Disney. I was in a conference room with 30 Imagineers and operators discussing a redesign of the Millennium Falcon ride. The ride already had a 2-hour wait. According to this author, this ride had a 2-hour wait. Now, that might be the case at peak time at Walt Disney World. But I can tell you right now that Disneyland doesn't get anywhere near that, even on the busiest of days. I've only seen it like 45 minutes, maybe 60. But at night, Erika, I gotta say, you can walk right on this thing, honestly. And if you're a single rider, no matter what time of day, you're on in only a couple of pods disembarking right here. So 2-hour wait? Maybe, possibly. I don't think so. But the issue they were discussing wasn't demand. Quote, guests like it, Josh said. Guests don't love it. He offered a diagnosis. It was a 3-person ride, but only one person, the pilot, truly controlled the adventure. The other 2, the gunner and the engineer, were less active. Again, this is coming from Josh Giamaro saying this to the Imagineers, who I'm sure know that. It's very interesting that he would bring this out. I'll go ahead and finish this, and I'll go ahead and throw it right to you, Erika. The redesign they planned in that room meant that no one on the ride would merely be a passenger. It would give each person agency, the chance to influence the outcome, demonstrate skill, and feel part of the story. Instead of leaving saying, quote, "I liked it," riders could be saying, "I loved it." When the ride opens in May, Josh will learn whether his diagnosis was on point. Disney is a delicate brand, he told me at the time. Anything I can do to help more guests say they love Disney is a valuable use of my time. Again, this is HBR, the author being Marcus Buckingham. What did you think about that, Erika? I thought that was very interesting how it was Josh saying this to a room of Imagineers, highlighting the problems with this. I don't remember a chairman being so frank in this way, but please go ahead. I'd love to hear your thoughts.
It's a start, I guess, but I think a lot of us are in the boat of talk is cheap. If you claim you have you want people to love Disney again, well, you have a laundry list of things to fix before a lot of us come back to saying that. He's a PR guy. He's really good at being charming and charismatic. So I think we're going to see a lot of moments like this from him, but I wouldn't get too caught up in the charm. I am extremely critical of Disney, because I've had family work for the company and in creative areas like that. I know what they're capable of, regardless of who's there now and who's not. So I am of the mindset that's fine and great, but you really do have a long way to go before we start coming in and saying we love Disney. And I'm sorry, but fixing one attraction, isn't really going to make me say I love Disney again.
That's a great point. No, that's a great point. No. I mean, Josh Giamaro talks about love, and he talks about like, oh yes, the feels and how when I went to Disney, or when I go to Disney, when I walk the parks, when I talk to guests and so forth, I want them to love their experience. But you're right, Erika. If you are talking about loving experience like Millennium Falcon Smuggler's Run, why aren't you necessarily concerned with all the other experiences that have brought down the experience level at the Disney parks? Very, very interesting. I love that commentary because I think it's so true. We have somebody in the back right here. I'm going to go ahead and bring them on, talking about Josh Giamaro. Yes, indeed. Oh, I like that. I like the drum roll right there. It is Ron from Follow the Bradley's Fun. Ron, hello there. Welcome to Vash Sky ParkCast, first ever live broadcast, and our first ever guest to join us via.
I did not want to miss it. Yeah, I'm excited. And this particular topic, this particular discussion. Okay, so while you were, can you guys hear me? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely, can you hear you just fine?
Yeah, you sound great. Okay,
so I think Disney has created the problem that they cannot solve, and it has nothing to do with Millennium Falcon Smuggler's Run, but it has everything to do with the statement that I heard you say that Josh Giamaro said, which was anything we can do to make people feel like they love Disney more, we want to do. And there is a major problem with that. And that is an ideology that it's very difficult to undo. Okay, the whole company. And it's not just, I mean, there's a problem that the ideology created that causes things like Smuggler's Run to be underwhelming. When you start catering to a very, very small percentage of your fan base, maybe like 2%, or less based on something that you believe that fan base believes ideologically that differs from perhaps the other 98%. And you say, well, I want to be, we want to be inclusive to everybody. But when you do that, all of a sudden you're starting to offend 50%, 60%, 70%. People that are silently offended, but will go away and stop spending their dollars with Disney, right? And I think people know what I'm talking about. Yes, yeah, we throw the word woke around, but it basically a lot of that what we call woke garbage is anti-family garbage. I know Erika knows what I'm talking about. She's probably right there with me in that. And that is something that you are not going to get back a lot of those guests, because when those guests turn away, they don't turn back. And here's the problem. You pointed your meter towards a group of people who are very, very I don't know how to use any other word, and I hope I can use it fine, hateful towards the people that aren't like them. If you're not like them, they cannot stand you. So here's the problem. The moment you veer away from that course and try to start going back to, hey, we're audience pleasing everybody, we're just going to go back to kind of a general audience. Well, that little group is going to notice. That little group is going to be viciously loud, and they're going to say, yeah, but hey, where's the stuff for me? And in such a loud and obnoxious way that the company can't help but hear them. And it doesn't really matter whether they're spending their money. The other thing that ideology did is it veered people towards pleasing that group and pleasing that ideology. And what happens to a brain? We're all limited in our creative powers. And so the brains start to think, hey, we got to please that group. And they stop thinking about just general creativity and how to be more creative, how to be more wonderful, how to give more people the wonderful things that they want. And, that's where we have issues like the Millennium Falcon Smuggler's Run being underwhelming. Because when you go to Galaxy's Edge, and you've gone to Galaxy's Edge, Vash, I think, I know MJ's been to Galaxy's Edge. MJ's not even a Star Wars fan. The first thing that I notice is wow, they really did spend the money, that millions of dollars was spent here. And to think that if all of this had been maybe a Moss something else, Moss Batu on Tatooine, something on Tatooine, but it's maybe a place we hadn't seen on Tatooine yet. It's a little different place, something like that. But what they did was they created something that nobody's ever seen in any Star Wars property, and therefore nobody really cares that much about being there, because it feels like, and I'll never stop saying this, it feels like Star Wars fan fiction land. It does not feel like genuine Star Wars. It doesn't feel the same as when you're stepping into Diagon Alley over at over at Universal Studios or the Wizarding World, any of the Wizarding Worlds, whether it's Epic or Universal or Islands of Adventure. Those feel like you are stepping into that movie and becoming a part of that story. And it doesn't feel that way when you step into Galaxy's Edge. You're it's kind of a weird feeling, because you feel Star Wars adjacent, like a millionaire created Star Wars in his backyard, but didn't have the rights, so he did it all. It's just kind of weird. And the only thing in there that actually looks like Star Wars is the Millennium Falcon, and the queue. It feels like you're walking into the Millennium Falcon, and right before you get on board, you get to sit down and at the chess table and look around. And that's actually almost there's a lot of people that have said this. The queue is better than the ride. and then you get in there and you're like, oh, this is like being in any Star Wars video game that I could have pumped a couple of quarters into. And that's what it kind of feels like. A little underwhelming.
I couldn't say it better myself. I mean, it is a little bit underwhelming. The novelty of actually going into the Millennium Falcon. I mean, first of all, you're not going at the loading ramp. They do play a trick in which they get you onto the vessel. They have it fly over your head supposedly, and they have it land behind Hondo when he gives that briefing and so forth. That's one of the main reasons as to why that pre-show is the way it is. And then you step on board like like a connector gangway, I suppose, and then that's how you make your way onto the Millennium Falcon itself. So you don't have the what is it, the great feeling of walking up the ramp, which is unfortunate. But then you get in, and it's like, wow, this really is kind of a one-to-one creation of at least the cockpit of the Millennium Falcon. Very impressive, I will say. But then you get into the actual riding of it and piloting it if you're lucky enough to get that seat. And yes, it is fun, at least the first time, maybe the second time, maybe even the third time. But then it becomes quite redundant because there aren't multiple missions, and even as a pilot, you can quickly figure out kind of how to get the best score, or at least hit the blue button, the red button when you are supposed to, if you're in the left seat right there. So even on that level, it falls short. But then you get to the gunner and the engineer positions, and the whole thing falls flat. And I think MJ brought up a great point actually in our last show on that Bart Blaze, talking about how And Erika, I think you brought this up as well. The whole family, right? Who gets to be the pilot? I mean, maybe if you have 2 kids, maybe it's obvious. What if you have 3? What if you have 4? And how does that actually work out? That is a difficult question. And yet, it's one we have to ask. Ron, I want to go ahead and pick your brain for a second on one point, actually. I'm gonna go ahead and shift the conversation a little bit. I promise if anybody wants to go ahead and continue on this particular point, we absolutely can. But I want to go ahead and bring up something that I found very interesting in my research when going over Josh D'Amaro's history, because I've been trying to delve into the mind of this gentleman. And I thought you brought up some interesting points talking about how the capability of Imagineers to create amazing things has been subverted by putting the onus on other things. I think it's a astute point, and one that you brought up before. I want to go ahead and see if I can share this. I think I have to stop my screen. Okay. All right. So we'll go ahead and pause that. We'll go ahead and remove that right there. And then I'll go ahead and share this, and we'll go ahead and listen to it together. This I thought was very interesting because it's Josh D'Amaro having a conversation with Skift Research, I suppose. Hopefully I can play this and not get taken off the air. But here you go. I've heard you bring this up, Ron. The conversation that is brought up here is talking about how there's divisions within the country, how Josh deals with that, and then he actually brings up the point about tattoos and how they recently changed that policy, at least when this was recorded right here. That would have been, I think, April of 2021. Let's go ahead and listen to this. Ron, I am dying to hear your feedback on this. Here you go.
If they have political beliefs that might be different from where the states that they work in, how do you deal with that kind of conflict?
Well, I think, listen, the world is dealing with a division everywhere. What I do in this regard is I make sure that I am listening to absolutely everyone. Everyone has a voice at my table. I'm making sure that when our cast members come to work, they're able to express themselves that they want in the ways that they want to express themselves. You may have seen some changes that we've made across the Walt Disney Company.
Yes, we did see quite the changes, actually, Josh D'Amaro. This going back to the Disney look, obviously. We'll let it play on, and we'll get Ron's thoughts.
In terms of costume and dress codes, et cetera. I want people to feel comfortable. I'm going to give you a good example, Seth, and then you're going to have to move me on. But tattoos was something for a long period of time that we didn't allow at the Disney company. If you look at the statistics with who has tattoos, I won't drag you through all the gory detail here. It's a lot of the younger generation have tattoos. And by the way, some of the best people in the service industry have tattoos. So we thought, let's invite them in and let's not have them hide things that are important to them. Quick story on that in terms of walking around the park. I can remember a security officer at Walt Disney World who I had known just by walking around and saying hello and understanding who he was. The moment that we made that change, he came running up to my car. I put the window down and he said, "Josh, you remember our conversation?" I said, "Yeah, I absolutely remember the conversation." And he showed me his arm, and he then talked about the tattoo that he had on his arm and how it was important to him and it represented the different people in his family. And he was beaming. So what does that mean? That it's a small step, but a step that essentially says I can show up and talk about who I am. And if I can show up and talk about who I am, that makes me a lot more comfortable in front of a guest. And what does that mean to the guest? Then the guest has a better experience. And so while our guests love Space Mountain, they love our parades and our fireworks, what they really love is those interactions with our cast members. So
I thought that was very, very interesting what he says right there. Because the cast member feels empowered to express themselves, it equates to a better guest experience. Ron, has this been your experience? And I know you have very strong beliefs on this. I'd love to hear your thoughts on what he said and whether or not they drive with your experience.
First of all, no, because last I checked, the word was cast member, not employee. So you just degraded every single cast member to employee. We clearly shouldn't call them cast members anymore because now they're not part of the show, right? So you have your old 4 key basics. For those that don't know what the four key basics are or were, and there weren't something that was created by Walt. They were something that was created by the company, but like I want to say in the 1980s maybe, but they were for a long time the staple of how the company operated, with the first basic being safety, the second basic being courtesy, the third basic being show, and the last basic being efficiency, right? And they're all in that order, and that's for a reason. Efficiency often got left behind. Courtesy, honestly, if you want to call the word inclusion something, it was always part of courtesy. You always include everybody. That's just how you do. You don't worry about that, right? But here's the thing. Show was very, very important. The idea of you walking into a Disney park was that you were now walking on stage into the middle of a show. Now, last I checked, every cast member that's in every show anywhere is required to wear a costume and look like the part that they are playing. So when I was cast in Joseph and the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat, our director insisted that all of the men shave our legs for the entire season of the show. And shave our legs, wax our legs, whatever. You don't want to know why? Because they said that there's a part where our legs were exposed and we were supposed to be Egyptian. Now, if you've ever seen Joseph and the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat, you know that it doesn't matter. It's not supposed to be historically accurate, but our director wanted it that way. And so he's like, no, dudes, you all got to shave your legs because Egyptians shave their legs. I don't know if they did or not, but that's what he said. So that's what we had to do because we were hired to be in the cast. When I was hired to be in the cast at Universal Studios for Halloween Horror Nights, every man and every woman in my house had to shave our heads to be part of that cast because we were playing a very particular role, and that role required us to have our heads shaved. We were taking part in a play. We were part of a cast. That's what you are supposed to be when you're hired by Disney, and you are called a cast member, and therefore you're supposed to have a costume, and that costume is not supposed to be individualized to you. You are not playing, let's say your name is David. Well, you're not supposed to be you, David. You're supposed to be Disney cast member David, perhaps in Frontierland. Last I checked, in the American frontier, there probably weren't a whole lot of people with tattoos back then. Last I checked at the in Liberty Square, when founding the Constitution, founding the country, not a lot of people with tattoos in that part of the world at that time. So I had huge problems with this because the whole idea as a guest, when you come into Walt Disney World, if you as a cast member could not feel comfortable being in the role that you were hired to play, that was your problem, not a Disney problem, not a guest problem. Okay, that was something that you have to figure out how you are going to deal with, because that's part of the job. It was, so many things about that period of time, and it wasn't, by the way, it's not just the tattoos. That was the whole time where they've actually changed it, and I'm assuming that they haven't changed it back. If you were a biological male, you could choose biological female costume and wear that, even if you wanted to present as a male. It wasn't even about transgender stuff in general. It was however you choose that you want to present. You could even pick out parts of a costume. If there were males and female costumes, you could pick out the male part of a costume and a female part of a costume and wear that together. So if you wanted to wear the female skirt with the male shirt, you could do that, for example. Right. And I think that I'm assuming that they still can. And I have a lot of issues with this in a family park where there are lots of children present, and perhaps conversations that parents don't necessarily want to have with their children when children ask questions. But the other thing that I've noticed, and by the way, you may talk about this in a minute, that wasn't really the reason for the update. That wasn't the reason for the update wasn't that at all. The reason for the update was they couldn't get people to work for them back in 2021 when they fired half the company and half the company didn't want to come back. But that's all. I'll let you talk about that part. But this whole thing of that was when DEI was introduced, the inclusion key, which excluded everybody who did not fit into their little ideological bubble. If you didn't fit into that ideological bubble and you didn't accept that, boy, they just you're out, all that kind of stuff. And it was like night and day working there. I'll never forget the meeting when I came in, and there's like every shift you have a pre-shift meeting for like 15 minutes, right? So you meet, they go over the numbers, this is what you got to do, blah, 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 blah. This is what we're expecting for tonight. And then, hey guys, guess what? We're introducing a new key, a fifth key, and we're calling it inclusion. And as part of that key, we're introducing changes to the Disney look, which is no longer really a Disney look, because now men can paint their nails and nobody cares what kind of things you have. That honestly, here's the thing. They still have rules about it, but how do you keep the rules when they're so general? Before that time, they actually had a Disney look team. And that Disney look team would come around to us periodically before shifts, and they would say, hey, you got too much stubble on your face. You need to go back and shave. Or they would say, your gig line is wrong. This needs to be straight up and down. Or, oh, I had this one time. I was wearing something to hold my eyeglasses on. They said, you can't use that. You got to use something different because that looks like jewelry. Like, they used to be so specific. And then after that team, I'm assuming there's no more Disney look team, and they just don't care, because the rule was supposed to be that if your tattoo could only show if your hand covered it, go to the parks, look around, you'll see that there are people with like almost like leg sleeves and arm sleeves of tattoos that you see. And hey, if I want to get a tattoo of maybe Bob Iger's face on my arm next to somebody else's face, like a Jeffrey somebody, am I allowed to have that? I don't know.
Well, so let me go ahead and respond a little bit there on. We got a lot to break down. We got a lot to go over for sure, as you can probably imagine. Folks, I do appreciate you in the chat right there, keeping it civil right there. I know this has a lot of strong feedback, and I want to go into why this has a lot of strong feedback, right? Because I think Ron beautifully set this up. But to illustrate, I mean, there was a lawsuit, very public lawsuit against the Walt Disney Company, I believe back in 2013, and even a time prior, actually, but 2013, in which you had a woman who was Islamic, and that woman wanted to wear her hijab, on stage. Disney attempted to accommodate her, but those accommodations didn't sit well with her. They weren't sufficient, and she actually sued. I don't remember what the result of that lawsuit was, but she was actually on CNN and so forth. And this is one of the points that I want to go ahead and bring up in the Josh Tomorrow actual video that I'm producing right now. Very, very interesting. But it was a lot of people looking at that lawsuit. They weren't supportive of her. which is very, very interesting. And a lot of people felt that Disney was justified in this because of how strict they were. This is the mindset, the cultural change that happened with the introduction of the inclusion key, and why people have such strong reactions to how the company has addressed this issue in recent years. Some people say, well, they just need to update. I mean, if you are paying cast members the rates that they are, maybe perhaps you do. But we have seen other businesses, such as In-N-Out, for example, they haven't updated, and yet you have employees there who are happy to work under those conditions. So it can be done, and even in California for that matter. But Disney chooses not to. It's very interesting, and it's a very interesting discussion. I know a lot of people have very strong feelings about it, but we're going to go ahead and allow for a diverse set of opinions for sure. And we have to bring on another guest to the program. It is the one and only Culture Casino. Hello there, Culture.
Hey,
welcome
greetings.
to the first ever Vash Sky ParkCast.
Yeah, I was thrilled to see this happening today. So congratulations. It looks like you're well on your way, my friend. So indeed. It's a great experience and opportunity to join you for the first one of these. So thank you.
Absolutely. Well, it is great to have you on and talk about a whole plethora of subjects. I know we have to unfortunately we have to kind of move on here because we have so much to get to. It's so much I want to talk to people about right here. But Culture, how do you feel about Josh D'Amaro getting the lead role? I actually haven't heard your thoughts on this, and I do very much apologize. I want to hear from you, though. How do you feel about this corporate structure in which Josh D'Amaro is now CEO, but Dana Walden actually was able to carve out for herself not just the president position, but also the chief creative officer? Please, I'll go to you.
Yeah, it's interesting because not in the history of Walden would have seen, or I don't believe I've seen any place where she has represented herself as a creative. I don't think that's her forte. I think she's really good at structures and really good at management. As far as Josh getting to the position that he did, I think that was expected. I think it was a conversation that we've been having for a while. And perhaps if the elections had gone a different way, maybe Dana would have been put into the lead because she would have had a direct pipeline to the White House. That was the suggestion. But I'm not even sure that was all that was done here. What was more telling to me was that there's a salary differential that I think is like establishing a dangerous precedent while also establishing a new position that hadn't really truly existed before. There'd been kind of versions of this idea of the dual-headed Disney with a more sound, responsible business person underneath a creative leader. We could suggest that Walt and Roy shared that, as well as Eisner and Wells. In fact, I think we have on multiple occasions.
Do you see Walden in that supportive role? Do you see Walden as somebody like a Frank Wells who is going to be able to cool out the fires and doesn't want the throne for themselves? Because Frank was very clear. He made this clear to Roy when Roy originally went to Wells to give him the CEO-ship. He says, "No, I don't want it for myself. Let's go ahead and give it over to Michael, and I'll go ahead and support him." Roy, Senior, Walt's brother, was very supportive of his brother in providing for anything that he wanted to accomplish with the company. Do you see Walden as that? Because I really don't, but I'd love to hear from you.
I think this more or less establishes a more adversarial relationship between the two. I know that some people may not see it that way. I have a little bit of the hiccups, but maybe don't see it that way, but I do because, we've already established that she's carrying multiple roles and she's carrying a larger salary quotient, despite a smaller portion of the bonus. Ultimately, in the long run, I imagine she'll be better off than Josh is on the financial side of things. But I think that I think that this kind of, like you said, it creates more than an adversarial relationship, and not one of the, the fairy tale that they've been trying to say, where they're going to be working together in a constructive way. I've always believed that Josh had the best at heart for what would happen within the parks. He was always going to do his best to live by Walt's set of mantras for guiding the parks forward. With Dana, I think that, her willingness to push forward with some of the programming that she has as family programming, I think that's going to lead to a problem. I also believe that she is going to be compelled to restructure the way television products run in a way that will maximize the Disney Plus brand and eliminate even faster all the elements of Hulu that they possibly can. I think they've been struggling with an identity crisis for a long time, and when you study the fact that they just seem all over the place, maybe that's something that both of these people can really have the company refocus on. You need a central theme at Disney, and for a long time.
Oh, we lost you there.
Yeah,
Culture.
muted. For a long time, that was family entertainment. It doesn't seem to be that way anymore. So it's odd, but that's what I'm seeing. I'm not sure if anybody else would agree. So
is that like a personal attack or something?
Maybe.
Maybe it might be. Look, I personally, I agree with you. I mean, I have real questions about the creative capability of Dana Walden, and like you said, I think Wall Street Journal actually brought this out. I think it was Brent Fritz's article that talked about how the entertainment division, specifically the film division, was actually nervous about Dana Walden now being over them in a critical capacity, a role in which she's never had. I thought that was very interesting commentary, because some people have kind of maybe puffed her up to be this kind of great creative and so forth. She can make all these decisions, but film is very, very different from television, which she is most accustomed for. We have been sitting on a request from the chat. MJ, you want to go ahead and fill us in on what that is?
Have O2RR. He is. How about a group sip to celebrate Vash's first show?
Absolutely.
Yay.
Please go ahead and group sip, everybody. If you got them, go ahead and drink them right there. I've got water, so we're gonna go ahead and do that.
This is actually. I got this cup at the Swan and Dolphin, so I'm happy to show it off. It's really cute. It's got a straw for my straw sippers.
Well, there you go.
As we
3,
say in
2,
Germany.
1.
Oh, whoops, I was early.
No, you're fine. You're fine. Erika, was that branded there?
Yeah.
Whoa! Already
That's
got
nice.
the merch out there.
Yeah.
No,
Dang
we
it.
have not launched a merch line. This just came from Amazon to hold us over. We have not gotten that far.
Very, very interesting. Oh man, and a lot of people are very opinionated out in the chat, as I can see. Keep it cool, guys. Keep it cool. I see you keeping it cool though, so thank you very, very much. I know a lot of people have a lot of thoughts about some of these things, because these are changing times right now. Ron, go ahead, please.
Vash, this conversation brings a song to my mind. The sun will go down tomorrow. You'll be stuck with a day that's gray forever.
Yeah. I mean, that's. I don't know how much faith I place in Josh D'Amaro. I really don't.
Is it possible?
Here's what I feel about Josh. I was
Well, go
just
ahead,
going to say
Ron,
that I feel
then
like
Culture.
Josh is. Okay. I'm trying to not make this sound bad. I know this is going to sound bad, but Josh is kind of a two-face kind of a guy, and I don't even necessarily mean that in a bad way. It's just that he really speaks to the audience who he's speaking to. He knows who he's talking to. So if he's out in the parks, he'll talk to guests. And he'll
You're right,
tell the guests
Ron.
what the guests want to
Yep.
hear. He'll tell
Yeah.
the cast members what the cast members want to hear. When he's talking to Imagineering, he'll tell them what they want to hear. And when he's talking to, corporate investors, he'll tell them what they want to hear. But the problem is, nobody knows who Josh D'Amaro really is. Like, nobody knows who, like, what,
That's a
where,
very good point.
where
He's
his
the penguin from
loyalty
Madagascar.
lies.
Smile and wave, boy. Smile and
Well, that's
wave.
what I'm saying. Like he played.
Although I want to know what culture thinks about that.
Well, let's hear from Erika real fast, and then we'll go to culture. We haven't heard Erika for a little while now.
That's what I'm saying. Said earlier is that he's a PR guy. He's charming and he's got charisma. He's really good in front of a camera. He's good at interviews. He's good at being in front of an audience. And yeah, he basically what you're describing is, other than Two-Face, that he placates. He knows exactly what to say and how to frame it to that specific audience. I mean, wasn't he the one that came out with the grand announcement of these expansions, but never divulged what at the cost of Rivers of America? And he did it on purpose. How did you not know that?
To mark against him.
You literally lied by omission to people because you knew you were going to have your butt handed to you right then and there on stage, and you didn't want to deal with it. So you cowered. And
yeah,
I mean, I don't know. You hope for the best, but at the same time, at this point, Disney has become like being in a toxic, abusive relationship. You keep hoping the one's going to change, but they never do. They just keep slapping you around, but you stick around and you don't know why.
It's a toxic love.
It is a toxic love. It really is.
It's really tough.
For me.
It's tough. Culture, please go ahead. Respond to that, or what were you going to say?
Well, just that, to add to your Two-Face commentary, I would say that, it's he definitely has two different presentation styles. One is for an audience, one's for a boardroom. Oftentimes people can't master both of those places. Iger had the ability to communicate at both levels, but he wasn't very charismatic. After all, he was a weatherman, a weather guesser, before he got into real management. But as I look at D'Amaro's background, I don't want to sugarcoat the fact that, as was already illustrated here, that he's the parks guy. So he allowed some of the very worst ideas happen in the parks, particularly Magic Kingdom. The rivers, I can go through a list of all of the issues going on in Frontierland, or the shortcomings, as I think we've talked about recently over with Pro. The shortcomings of the Project Gamma, the Epcot redevelopment area. So I just there isn't anything that I think that he can do positive in the parks until he finds out or reveals to us exactly what his intentions are. And he has control over every aspect of the way the business develops now, including the purse strings, which is the one thing that I think Iger was controlling for the parks for a while. Are we going to get a return to, better maintenance practices? Are we going to get a return to daily mousekeeping? Are we going to get a return to, some of the things that we a while ago were able to take for granted that we can't anymore? The idea of perks and the way that Eisner rolled out the way the parks would operate was something I think most of us would say was the right way to go about doing it. And it worked for a very long time. It grew an audience to one that was global. And at the same time, they're now isolating a very small group of people for the opportunity to go and have a Disney World vacation. I mean, if just following Ron and, follow the Bradley's fun over there, you're always challenged with the idea that maybe most people are priced out of the parks now, which wasn't really the case back in Eisner's era.
Yeah, and Eisner actually said it during a recent interview. I have it loaded up, but to just to quickly dole it out here, he said that I am not so fond of this idea of eroding the everybody's a VIP mentality that the parks used to have. And this is going back long before Eisner got there. This is going back, obviously, Walt, Card Walker, even under Ron Miller, that was preserved. And Michael Eisner, obviously he did jack the price up. There's no question about that. But the segmentation of the parks experience in which, the base price gets you in the door, but to really have a true experience at the parks, we have, this lightning lane product that will offer you. We have, thousands of dollars that you can spend on dinner packages, fireworks packages, and so forth. And, it's all of this kind of nickel and diming after the fact, and in chasing this kind of luxury market that unfortunately has not led to better outcomes, at least from the park goer that sees this as a rite of passage for them and their kids. Please, anybody can respond to that. Ron.
My wife and we came across a video. It was in her feed actually on YouTube. It's funny. You talk about nickel and diming. It's not just nickel and diming. It's value proposition. And the problem with the nickel and diming is they haven't added value. They've actually taken it away while charging more. So this lady had stayed in the bungalows at the Polynesian. Now, to be fair, I actually helped open that property when I worked for DVC. That was working for Disney Vacation Club when the bungalows open. And then the building in front of it, one of the Polynesian buildings had been retrofitted to become a DVC. I stayed in there, but what she had a recent stay. I think this video was uploaded maybe in the last week or so. So this is very recent that she had the stay, and though she didn't reveal what she was paying per night, they are somewhere between $3,000 and $3,500 per night for those bungalows. They sleep up to 8 people. The first thing that she mentioned was a big giant spider, and she actually showed video of it running around. But here's the problem. It wasn't just the spider, but there was a problem getting in. She had stayed in the DVC rooms at the Polynesian a few days before. And so she was transferring same day from the Polynesian to the Polynesian bungalow, which is on the same property. And her room was delayed. So she couldn't get into her room at 4:00. She had to leave her last room at 11:00. She couldn't get into her new room until after 6 p.m. Then when she got there, it wasn't cleaned properly. There was dust all over the place. She showed the appliances, the faucets. There was rust on the faucets. Those things have been around.
They don't know what the f- they're doing. Do you understand that?
Yeah, exactly. It was really, really bad. Like just the condition of a place that you're paying $3,500 a night for. You would expect cleanliness, it to be pristine, everything to be upgraded to the latest technology of everything, and it just wasn't. It wasn't that, and I was floored by that, because even today I'm super surprised to see that level of maintenance, upkeep, and cleanliness, lack of the lack of care and all of that. It's just really, even today, that's just surprises to me, because it's so below. I would even think it's below the dropped Disney standards of today, but it's definitely below the Disney standards when I used to work there.
Yeah, I mean, and it's like, the parks have been extremely successful, right? I mean, you see all the quarterly earnings reports.
It's totally deteriorated over the years, especially over here at the one in Orlando. It's just not what it was. Period.
And they are making a lot of money off of less people, which some could say, oh, well, there's less people in the parks and it's a better experience. Well, not exactly, but sure, let's go ahead and run with that. At what cost do these things, do these quarterly earnings reports, do these financials When is it? Until the experience is eroded entirely. I think we're starting to feel that a little bit now. We have some cannibalization happening currently with people going to Universal, and a lot of people saying, "Hey, Universal is offering a better experience, at least right now, than what Disney is offering." And one of the reasons is because they're really trying to get your money from Disney, right? So they have to work that much harder to do it. And some people have said, "Well, if Universal's in the lead, maybe that changes. Maybe it does." But for right now, people are voting with their wallets. And I think there's something to be said about the Universal experience and maintaining of those things. MJ, go ahead, please. What were we going to say?
Oh, no, I already said what I had to say. The deterioration of the parks over here is just, it's just declining little by little, everything, the aesthetics, even as small details, chairs, railings in front of the Magic Kingdom. We were just talking about the mold in certain areas, like it's just unacceptable. And to see all this construction and all this refurb on all these things, like take care of what you have first and then start new projects, in my opinion. Like the maintenance needs to I think Josh might put effort into the maintenance because that's been for the last decade just going down. And I do want to say that I'm hoping he cares and something will be done about it. That's all I wanted him to mention. Like even Pandora, like right here, on this B-roll that we're looking at, that thing, that plant thing, I don't even know what it's called. It's supposed to have a special effect when you touch it, and it doesn't, a lot of the creatures in the little pond area in the land of Avatar don't work. Things are just not
the
up to where
brand
they're
new lights in
supposed to
Epcot
be.
don't work.
Right.
Exactly.
The
brand
we can
new
go on and on.
lights.
Right. The conversation can go on and on. We can point out so many different things. It's just unfortunate because we hold them to a higher standard. That's why we bring it up.
The elevator at the Hollywood Tower, it's completely broken. I tried to go on the elevator the other day and it just kept going up and it was horrible.
Mm-hmm. There you go.
Oh man, it's really, really unfortunate. And I here's the thing. I want to be slightly optimistic on this channel right here. I want to go ahead and bring in some positive. And I will say one of the things that I think is positive, and please, if anybody wants to disagree with me, I'm open to that as well. But one of the things that I think is positive, at least, that yes, Josh D'Amaro has been responsible for a lot of things we don't like about the parks. That's true. There's no question. There's no getting around that. However, he is at least parks oriented in his thinking. Now, some might argue, well, Bob Chapek came in the parks. Well, yes, the last 5 years of his tenure before he was made CEO, he was at parks. That's true. But really, for the length of his tenure, this going back 20 years, he was with the Consumer Products Division. In fact, when he got to the parks, he merged Consumer Products and Disney Parks and Resorts, making Parks Experiences and Products now Experiences just that. But Josh D'Amaro, he started in 1998 working at Disneyland, okay? And he has floated around various sectors, DVC being one of them, signature experiences, Animal Kingdom, and so forth. But he has always been a parks guy for the 27 years he's worked at the company or so. Optimistically, somebody so parks oriented understands the value of that brand, of that product. Maybe some of this can be backed off a little bit. I don't know. I'm really unsure what Josh D'Amaro's direction is going to be, but at least he comes from the parks that we all love. But please go ahead if anybody has some qualms. I'd love to hear them.
I think that as long as Josh has a grasp of shape language, then maybe we'll be okay.
And so that's what we've tried to do is really bring that shape language from the architecture.
But like what we love to talk about at WDI is shape language. And we often refer to shape language.
There's such iconic shape language in Spaceship Reverie Attraction. We really wanted to make sure that we fused to that throughout the space.
What is this? What is this shape?
I mean, look.
That was such a 90s thing, Ron. Loser, total loser.
People go in there. It's great. I just,
I love this. I love this shot. This
that is a great shot.
I will.
Ron,
I have a tendency to find because Epcot's my favorite park, and I will find the beauty in it. I wish that I could go back in time, seriously, with Culture. I wish that Culture and I could go back in time and go to Epcot together in 1983. That's yeah, my gosh, because those were the glory days. You know, I know Culture. I mean, he lives for that stuff. We've talked about it and Jonas too, where just looking around the parks when they are beautified correctly, it's not necessarily about the ride and the thrills and those types of experiences, which are great. But to me, the attractions are the icing on the cake of a really well done park. By the way, did you guys know that Joe Rohde was at Animal Kingdom like yesterday or the day before?
Really?
Well,
yeah, people are taking the pictures with
he's still known to hold court at that bar/restaurant location in there, so right by Pandora.
Oh, no bad.
But yeah, no man, yeah. But yeah, you used to be able to find him there almost like every weekend. But anyway, so you know it, and again, bringing up Joe Rohde, he's the last great example of designing park space. And that's the thing where right now I feel like people are designing convention space or city space. They're not designing park space now, which is one of my biggest fears with the redevelopment of Frontierland in Florida. I mean, Joe, you were showing amazing examples of just even the interior pieces of the Avatar area or, areas that got redeveloped. But, I mean, they seem to understand that, revenue comes from bars, but it also comes from the rest of the family as well. So maybe dump a little bit of money into a better experience for the family as a whole. You had the opportunity to do that. You had a great opportunity for a dining experience restaurant in, Black Rock Spire, right? And weren't we supposed to get, that kind of a entertainment offering that would work for the family and encourage people to spend more money and have an opportunity at even more souvenirs and things like that? I feel in a lot of ways that things are just the level of detail's not there. I think theme park critic actually pointed out that you can talk about shape language all you want, but you need to be paying more attention to your sight lines. You need to understand that this doesn't blend with that. And that's another big fear when you look at the redevelopment of Frontierland and all the old plants and trees and everything else that are now gone. You're supposed to enrich the areas in a theme park and not strip it away. So it's very problematic and troubling to me. But again, I'm an old school guy, and like our friend Ron here mentioned, yet I've seen all of the iterations of the Imagination Pavilion. And I can tell you, the first one was good, and everything that came after not as good. It's happened a lot. There's been downgrades through at Disney for one reason or another for a long time, and they used to keep a better track of what wildlife was in the lagoon here, so they didn't have to rope it off from guests. People used to get in the water. People used to be looking, at the waves and the wave machine that was, feeding, like a little bit of action into the beach at the Poly. I mean, I go back a long way because I'm an older guy, but I got to experience the parks at their peak. I weep for, my family members that didn't, because they missed out on probably the best escape experience that they could hope for. And that's ultimately what tourists are paying for, whether it be, in Florida specifically or in California, which it was for many years my home park. So,
yeah.
Well, it's interesting you bring up Frontierland. I think that this, we can pivot to the kind of next topic of discussion that I wanted to go ahead and bring up for y'all. It is this one. I'm sure you've heard about it. I believe Pro featured it on the Pro Show, and that Park Place, I believe, covered it as well. Rumor: initial Villains Land plans scrapped. Imagineers told to dream bigger. This is by blog making here February 16, 2026. A rumor kicked off this past weekend about the upcoming Villains Land coming to Magic Kingdom. The rumor comes via Touring Plans' Len Testa. In short, Testa says that the initial plans for Villains Land have been scrapped, that the Imagineers have been asked to go back to the drawing board for bigger, bolder ideas. You can see this post. I believe they have it screenshotted. Do they? Maybe not. Okay, well, I guess not. But they do have this, which I did want to go ahead and point out. These renderings that you're seeing here are based off of the plans that Disney themselves submitted to, I believe, the South Florida Water Management District and to the Central Florida Tourism Oversight District. Again, they're going to need approvals from some of these, government agencies in order to build what they want to. So a lot of this is public right here. I find it very suspicious that this information is coming out right now, and that apparently, they might be being told to dream bigger when these plans have already been filed. I mean, perhaps they might amend them at some point and so forth. I'm not really sure, but the timing, I think, is very suspicious. Len Testa, an amazing source. Don't get me wrong here. I don't mean to question his reporting here, but I just find this very odd. But I'm dying to know what you guys think. Anybody, please hop in.
I think that it's very difficult to revise plans if you're already pouring foundations and infrastructure. I think, it's not unlike Disney to triple do things 3 times over because they made an error. I mean, we can talk about the infamous issues that they had with the Rise of the Resistance attraction and the entire sensor band being laid upside down. So that's a whole other conversation. But I just look at the vagaries that were presented to the audience at the various places that they were showing off this Villains Land area, and think you'll be lucky if you get anything that's even remotely similar to this.
I think they're going to rival Dark Universe. They're going to have to do something. Whatever they do, culture, they cannot be mediocre. They have to rival Dark Universe if they want it to be successful, because people will compare the two and say, oh, you know what? This one's way better.
This is the only addition I think that fans not only are super excited for, but that in some fans' mind justifies the removal of Rivers of America. It's crazy to believe that there are people out there, but there are for sure. People are very much looking forward to this. They want to know that Rivers of America losing that is worth it, right?
Expectations are high. Expectations are definitely high for Villains Land, especially for the if you want to call them cupcakers, pixie dusters, whatever. No, I'm not talking about like. I'm not talking about like regular folks culture. I'm talking about those people that the Disney adults, the people that go and drink in the parks, the people that like these are the people that have wanted the villains to be represented for a long time and wanted a Villains Land, and so they have a really high expectation. So the real question I have, when Disney doesn't deliver, as they didn't with the Villains show, which in my mind is just like it's bonkers that they only actually have 3 live actors in that show for a villain show.
3PO, I know you're out Disney, there. I know you're a fan. Just saying, though, not the best. Go ahead, Ron. Sorry.
It's true. 3 is not enough.
But yeah, I think that they are under delivering, and I don't see how they can do anything but under deliver when it comes to this, because no matter how hard they try, Epic is already one step ahead of the curve. They they have an expansion pad right next to Monsters over there, and all they have to do is go, okay, well, guess what? We've got somebody on the inside who found out what Disney's doing, and we'll just up them real quick and have it built within 6 months.
That's another problem. But let me push back on just a tiny little bit on, look, I want to be positive about this, but I'm frankly, with what's been revealed, I can't be, because, to me, Tiana was an absolute disaster. What was presented was not in line with what expectations were. Taking something that was that beloved, the number one attraction, in the US at the time, and turning it into something that doesn't get the same kind of ridership anymore, and is frankly, less impactful, and not just in terms of the animatronic characters or the lack thereof, or the much lower number, but the fact that they, it was a necessary downgrade is actually somebody's quote going out of that.
That's a very good point.
If you actually have a perception that it's better be worth it. What evidence recently do you have that Disney's capable of improving upon what used to be now? I don't think you can. I don't think anybody has. I mean, you're not paying attention if you're that optimistic going into this redevelopment effort and this disaster of what Piston Peak is going to make of that area. We're going to go from a nice, cool area that was naturally cooled and shaded and everything else from the plants and the water around it to another isolated concrete heat jungle that's going to reflect all of the Florida sun back at you. So even perhaps in the spring, it becomes uncomfortable.
Culture, it's pronounced Piston Peak.
Let's say our good friend Ron has to go. But Ron, can you tell the fine folks where they can find you?
I do apologize, Ron.
Yes.
Oh yeah, my gosh, I'm like, you just blew me up. Follow the Bradley's Fun, and then I'll sometimes we'll be here at the Vash Sky podcast. Thank you for delivering that to me, Vash, so I could set it on my shelf. And and then 7:30 tonight. 7:30 tonight. We have the dish. I forgot about that, but I'm getting ready to take my family to go see the goat. I hope it's okay.
Absolutely. Well, the goat. Who's the goat? You mean Tom Brady?
Goat. That's the name of the movie. The Goat.
It's
just the goat.
Okay. Well, let's see. It got me all.
I think it's like the Godfather and the whole goat thing, and it just doesn't land with me.
Oh, I think you're.
We'll see.
Fell out there. Okay. Oh, okay. Well, there you go.
I gotta change.
Ron, thank you so much for coming on the first ever broadcast of the Vash Sky ParkCast. It is quite amazing that so many people wanted to see content from me, but also too. To support our panelists the way they have is absolutely phenomenal. Thank you so much for supporting.
Everybody loves you, Vash. Come on, man. It's like you're like Raymond. Everybody loves Vash.
No, hey, you know what? They might come, but you guys keep them here. So I very much appreciate you, Ron. I very much appreciate what you do over there with the dish. I want to go ahead and join you again as soon as I possibly can right there. But definitely follow the Bradley's Fun. Follow the Bradley's Fun out there. Let me see if I can get. Oh yes, it's just. Oh, looks like Tom. He's got my back right here. You got the link in the chat right there. Make sure you follow the link and make sure you subscribe. Thank you, Ron. Very much appreciate that.
Bye, Ron.
Seriously, awesome stuff.
Thank you, everybody. Culture, Erica, MJ, Vash, and chat. Everybody, will see you later.
Absolutely, Erica. I want to go ahead and go to you for this next one right here. Do you think Disney maybe got a little spooked when the reception to the plans that Disney filed with Sif Todd and Swift Mud, I guess, came out and they were a little bit lackluster? And maybe even a better question, would they have changed had they not been publicly available?
You're going to have to rephrase that question because it really went over my head.
Oh, okay.
My brain did not process.
You're fine. You're fine. The idea being, okay, so you have these plans filed with the local governance of this Florida area right here, and now we know loosely what they're building. We don't know exact details, but we know we have basically 2 show buildings and so forth. And a lot of people are like, this is a little bit underwhelming, especially for what we're losing. Erika, I want to ask you, do you think they're spooked by this? And that's why this information about them rethinking this is coming out now? Or do you think they would have ever changed if this information had been publicly available? Please, your thoughts.
Disney is Disney, and I think at this point they're going to do what they want to do. They don't really, they're not thinking straight. Yeah, sorry. If it were my stream, I would just,
Oh, I see. Colorful language, I guess.
Yes.
Well,
I'm having a hard time turning that to a PG.
Yeah. Folks, if you want the rated R version of Erika, please follow and like and subscribe to Erika and Raph.
I just think they're at a place where it just doesn't matter anymore. They're going to do what they want to do. They don't care. They think they're the best thing to slice bread, and it doesn't matter what the statistics are. It doesn't matter what the consumer base is like telling them everywhere on social media. They consistently just want to do what they want, and they can't get outside of their own heads, whatever freaking bubble that they're in, which is all BS. Name me something that you're actually making money in. And don't give me this whole, but the parks, they're making so much money. Okay, yeah, but do you realize how much more money you would be making had you not spent the last how many in a short amount of time just have made the stupidest decisions for this company? You know how much higher your stock value maybe would be? I know that's not financial advice. I don't play the stock market. You couldn't catch me doing that But I mean,
revenue potential. It's a thing.
They could be making so much more money had they just, read the room. Let's just put it that way, and taken the temperature. They knew what was coming with Epic Universe. They just chose to sit on it and do nothing.
And they even said, "Oh well, we've been preparing for Epic Universe for a decade." That didn't quite work. Erika,
they couldn't make their way out of a brown paper bag at this point.
Uh-oh.
Can I just put a quick contrast on that, if you wouldn't mind?
Please.
Because to contribute to what you and Erika are chatting about at the moment, Disney was trying to get prepared for the arrival of Universal as a rival in Florida, right? In Central Florida. So what did Eisner do in response to that? He bum rushed a theme park into existence.
Yes,
he did. He partnered
Wait, are you guys talking about MGM Studios?
Yes, we are.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So he bum rushed that thing into existence to beat them to the opening deadline. That's not what Disney does anymore. And this is the thing I always point out. There's zero reason. And again, this is me being just honest about what's happening in the parks. There is zero reason that Tron had to be built where it is. Number one, there's zero reason it even needed to be built at Magic Kingdom. There's also zero reason why it took them 7 years from, ideation to delivery on that. If you look at the entire timeline, why? Because they already had one built in China, and they weren't reinventing sliced bread. There already was sliced bread, and we already know who to slice it. So why did it take so long? Because they wanted to control the CapEx from beginning to end, and they broke down the individual pieces in quarters, which ultimately made it cost more money than it should have. Because had they built it all at once, it would have maybe hit 2 quarters. They could have probably done it that way, and they would have been miles ahead. But this is the problem with modern Disney. There was no reason for Tiana to happen the way it did in both California and Florida. There was zero reason for the way that Star Wars took so long to get built out. Again, it's because of the control of the CapEx that they were just trying to live within these tiny little earnings margins. Because they were trying to create the perception that they were continuing never-ending growth on Wall Street, which guess what? They couldn't do anyway, because by the time we got halfway to where we are, they'd already been exposed for, not doing a great job with the things that they controlled. So it's sad.
To this villain show, and I was not blown away, but I loved Captain Hook, and it was really cool, but it wasn't like, wow, it wasn't wow.
Well, it's supposed to get you excited for like the upcoming Villain's Land, and it's like, oh, if this is what we had to expect. But no, Wizard is exactly right, because culture is 1,000% right. They have pushed out the CapEx, right? So what culture is referring to is, you'll see this occasionally, even now, where you'll see a bunch of crew members and construction crew on site, right? And they're building, I don't know, Tropical Americas or Avengers Campus, their two new attractions, and they're going really fast. And the pace is going crazy, and then work stops, and then we don't get any activity for a while, and then it goes back up again after maybe a month or two, and it's like, whoa, what's interesting? Where'd that come from? And then it slows down again. They're purposefully only allowing so much CapEx per quarter and pushing these things out in order to reduce their overall financial investment. And it is unbelievably frustrating. And it really does Disney a disservice too, because construction costs can shift around, obviously. That really hurt them during the pandemic, for sure. But Universal, on the other hand, they can't go fast enough. It was so interesting, culture, Erika, when Universal, I think it was their CEO that came out and said, the one thing we regret during the pandemic was stopping construction of Epic Universe. Had we known what was gonna occur, what was gonna happen, because it was very uncertain times, we would have absolutely continued construction. And they did for Velocicoaster, in which they were ready to, showcase that thing when it was time. But it's just an example of Disney fumbling the ball, because we know they can do good work, or at least they could. They just haven't been given a chance. And it's so frustrating to see, like the Treehouse, for example, at Disneyland. It took like way longer than it should. 2 years or something? It's crazy. It was nuts. But it was because of this practice. Anybody have extended thoughts, please?
Not really. I mean, it's just so unfortunate. And it's almost like a suspense. We're just waiting to see what's going to happen. I hate the suspense. I really do. I wish we had concept art that actually matched what's going to happen. Like, oh, here's the concept art. This is what we're going to have. Everybody, are you ready? This is what we're looking forward to having. But no, we can't go based off the concept art.
I really wish they would redo Fantasyland. I was so ticked. I still am at what we ended up with.
Yeah. I agree
Erika,
with you, Erika. Yeah.
You're missing one of the best Fantasylands out there in Disneyland.
That they're building this Villain's Land, any hope for a better Fantasyland has been completely obliterated.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
They have shot themselves in the foot with Fantasyland. And Fantasyland, I'm sorry, is kind of the bread and butter to the Magic Kingdom, because that's where all your fantasy storybook stuff is. And that's the kiddie area. Not just kids, but I mean, us kids who are grown now, we like to go back to that.
Yeah, that's where we relive our childhood, and they fail at providing the type of attractions and entertainment we really want to see, and it's unfortunate. But it's not just, that's their bread and butter is the Magic Kingdom, not the other parks, and that's where they need to focus and invest the most in.
What's really going to be interesting to see is how we've got this contrast now of Fantasyland promotes essentially their storybook stories, their classics. And, it, for the most part, is very, we'll say feminine based, very girly. But and then you've got this Villain's Land that's coming. And I'm not really a fan of Villain's Land distracting from that. That's one of my concerns of what's coming into the Magic Kingdom. It's the Magic Kingdom. And I'm really not one of these villain fan base people. You know, I found it weird as a child going to the Magic Kingdom and seeing the villains walking around, because my thing was, well, you died. How are you here? I saw the movie, you know, and I always found that kind of weird. I never wanted to encounter, let alone even meet a villain, because they're villains. I wanted to meet the heroines or the heroes, you know, or the princesses and the princes that rescued them.
Well, look, I always sound like such a downer, but I'm just truthfully, you can see the beginning of the downgrade for Disney World reflected in New Fantasyland. So,
that's true.
you know, it did not replace missing attractions. We had a net loss in attractions. And I have nothing against the idea, the concept of Villains Land. I would have preferred the original boutique park idea, heroes versus villains. I think a lot of people would.
That would have been cute.
That is so cool.
It was a great idea. They just didn't do anything with it. But anyway, back to New Fantasyland. You realize they didn't net any new numbers of attractions when New Fantasyland went in?
None.
Not one gain. And again, I like to point this out because again, it's my home park. Disneyland is my favorite place on the planet. But the Disneyland park itself proper, not the resort, but the park proper, has 65 attractions, or did at the time that I did the counting. And that is more attractions in that little tiny park, in that limited acreage that he had in those orange groves, than the entirety of Walt Disney World. Every time that I talk about this, and you know, even if you whittle down some of the attractions, or they have over the years, or have eliminated some things, even let's say 60, it's still more in totality in California than it is in Florida. Florida, you're paying far more for in a situation where you shouldn't be. In attraction density has disappeared. You have a lack of attractions. I think Pro points this out expertly, regularly, that Animal Kingdom, despite its beauty and incredible park design, and I am one of the biggest fans you'll ever find for Animal Kingdom Park. How many attractions are there right now? 6?
Yeah, like 5 or 6. But I always say, Culture, people go to Animal Kingdom to be immersed in the it's a different atmosphere.
Sure.
You feel like you're not in a regular theme park and you're like escaping reality.
Yeah.
And the majority of the people that go to Animal Kingdom are not going for the rides. They're going just for the ambiance, for the treats, for the escape, if you will. That's just my take on Animal Kingdom. And all of those big crowds that you see in there, those are your regular annual pass holders, your locals, and they're just not interested in going on rides.
Well, okay, so one last thing about Animal Kingdom, and I'm going to need to step out here pretty quickly, but
you got it.
Let's do this. Animal Kingdom was designed by Joe Rohde to be authentic to the places that we're supposed to be visiting. Okay, the various places in the world, right down to the language, the signs, everything that you see around you, the architecture, and all of the interest that surrounds you, right? It was that way with the turn of the century Main Street and everywhere else that was included within Magic Kingdom, right? They wanted you to be able to feel like you were stepping into a fairy tale. What are they doing with Frontierland that's going to make Piston Peak work? That's not a turn of the century point in time. It's not hearkening back to a particular age. You separate yourself from the idea that Tiana's doesn't work because there are not mountains in Louisiana. So whatever, that was forced.
Yeah.
But they're authentic in the pirate era, although they've taken out, some of the more violence, the violent aspects of it. They just are trying to hide underneath, layers of, political things. But why are we losing the idea of authenticity in service of a Cars attraction? Which isn't really Cars, right? It's a planes.
It's a
right?
planes. Yeah, that's true. It's
like
not
a
Radio Springs.
hybrid themed attraction.
It's just weird.
It's,
it's just so weird. And we don't have a clip, but it's weird.
yes, it's weird. Well, before you go, Culture, I want to go ahead and bring somebody on right here. Might have a alternative opinion, just a little bit, but hey, might actually say hi as well.
Grove.
It is Orange
Yes,
Grove 55. Hello there, sir.
Hey, Vash, I want to say congratulations on the new channel. Amazing, dude. Amazing. Absolutely amazing. Amazing first. A huge success. First live show. Congratulations. Appreciate you.
Oh, thank you so much, OJ. I very much appreciate that. It was great to have you on. Hey, I know Culture has to step out, but do you have any, I'm sure you might want to say hi to Culture and see him off.
Yes, Culture. It's good to see you for a little bit at least.
It's good to see you just for a couple minutes. Yeah, I'm like, I know this orange bird. So no, it's good. It's good to see you, and I've been following you for a long time. But anyway, but I do have to hustle out of here. I did beat the hiccups though, and you can certainly check out the channel. No, I was just here to participate in Vash's first the Vash experience. The Vash Sky experience.
I don't know where that.
I like it because it makes you sound like Jimi Hendrix all of a sudden. So I'm like, this is cool. I'm here for the experience. Anyway, I'm out of here. Thank you. Do check out all these lovely other creators, including OG and the Park Wizard, who's in the chat moderating. So it's good to see everybody. I hope you all have an incredible day, and hope to see you soon. See you.
Culture. Love you so much. I haven't been able to share a stream with you in some time, so thank you so much for coming on in. Hello there, OG55. We've been talking about some stuff going on. Some people look at it as positive, some people look at it as negative. What was your take on the recent news, I guess, or rumor that maybe they have scrapped their initial plans for Villain's Land? Are we in for, amazing things now that, they're changing direction, or what do you think? How do you feel about this?
Okay, so it's interesting. I kind of have a two-pronged approach with this, right? And it kind of depends on what the reality on the ground is, and we don't really know that yet, right? So, to kind of give a little bit of context, before Josh D'Amaro was, really heavily involved with that CEO succession race, there wasn't a whole lot of park stuff going on. You know what I'm saying? And I heard rumblings in the park community that it was very difficult for like Imagineering to kind of get park stuff off the ground.
I heard that as well.
You heard that as well. Mm-hmm. Exactly. So then all of a sudden he runs for CEO. And now all of a sudden, he's on D23, and I think he absolutely crushed it on that D23 stage. He did everything he had to do. He hit a home run like crazy, right?
Well, I'd love to have seen it, but they didn't live stream it, OG. That's besides the point. Go ahead.
But yeah, so he did everything he had to do. And then all of a sudden, okay, now we have Josh. Now we're actually getting some projects, right? Cool. Awesome. My concern with the Villain's Land news. Here's my concern with it. There's a positive and a negative. I'll start with the negative and I'll end with the positive. The negative is, if we're to believe that Josh kind of has this hesitation, so to speak, of kind of pulling trigger, greenlighting projects. When I hear stuff like this, where it's like, you know what, Villain's Land ain't good enough, go back to the drawing board, everybody. Maybe I'm being cynical, but I hope it's not him trying to run the clock. Him trying to drag this out, where it's like, okay, you know what? If they have to go back to the drawing board, now we're even further out, spreading it over even more fiscal periods, right? But then it's under the auspice, under the narrative of like, yeah, but we're doing it to make it better, though, right? It's all for the good. So I'm a little worried about that, because Josh is very good at selling it, right? He is. Yeah. He's brilliant at that. Yeah. That worries me, because I feel like this might be a play to sort of move that down the road a little bit. Now, that was the negative. The positive is like, hey, you know what? Maybe Josh really feels it wasn't up to par. I mean, we did see this kind of with Tom Staggs with the new Fantasyland. Tom Staggs says, hey, I have little boys.
That's a very good point.
Right? I mean, nothing for my kids to do here. We got to add something for the boys. And they added the mine train. Maybe Josh sees similar problems here that need to be fixed, and we're trying to rectify those. So it can kind of go either way. You know what I'm saying? It can be like this kind of cynical corporate, like scummy thing where it's like he's trying to stretch it out. Or it could be like, hey, legitimately, it's not good enough. Let's do better, Imagineering.
And look, if that is really the case, if that is, hey, this is not good enough, let's do better, all good, I would say. And we've heard this about Josh actually before. I was actually privy to some internal documents of the Walt Disney Company, and apparently Josh D'Amaro said to Imagineers working on Tropical Americas that the buildings can't look like they've just been repainted, which suggests that that's exactly what they look like, and he asked for more. Good stuff. That's a good thing right there. I will say this is a little bit late in the game. Get cold feet now. And I do kind of wonder if, in fact, the timing is correct, what would have brought this on? And that's why I get concerned, OG, that if we didn't know about these plans for Villains Land before, as submitted to Siftot and SwiftMud, right? If we didn't know about these plans, would they have changed?
Interesting. Yeah. No, what did bring it on, right? What did bring it on?
Yeah,
and
exactly.
The timing is very suspect because you also have, so D'Amaro is going to be officially CEO mid-March, right?
Right.
We've talked a lot about it on OG55 where it's like, is Bob Iger kind of meddling more than we think he is?
Exactly.
I know. Yeah. And so maybe Josh feels like, hey, this is my chance. He's out. Now I can do what I want to do, right? It could be that too. I don't really know. Because a lot of people have made the argument, and I love Theme Park Wizard. I love you, Wizard. Hopefully you can jump on. A lot of people have made the argument over the years that Josh's hands have been tied. And maybe they have been. I mean, but we're gonna find out soon enough, though, right? We're gonna know very soon.
Are they still tied? Like, is Iger
You're right.
just kind of in the back being the master puppeter? You know what I mean? There's just so much we don't see. And as fans, man, we just want good stuff, okay? Like, we don't want to see our childhood and our favorite, not even theme park, but just entertainment company.
Right.
I want to see Disney make a comeback and absolutely obliterate Universal. I would love to see that because at the end of the day, we're Disney fans. It kind of hurts to see Universal just fly. And it's like, and you have to acknowledge how amazing what they have brought to to the table on their end. But at the same time, I'm like, dang, y'all are just screwing up at every level. What is going on? Like my son doesn't even want to take my grandkids to Disney anymore. And they live within just an hour of Disney World for a myriad of reasons, not just financial reasons either. But it's like, come on, you've got the talent. Just take the risk and do it. Do what you know what to do. I think it's there. They have the gift. They have the talent.
They do.
They're getting in the way of themselves.
No, you're right, Erika. They do have the talent. We've seen the talent firsthand with what they do in the international parks. Clearly, they have a lot of creative people here because they built an amazing Zootopia. They built Fantasy Springs in Tokyo. We have good people at Imagineering, but they have to be given the freedom and the budget to do it.
I just wish they would prioritize that.
Wizard.
Hello there, Wizard. Sorry about that. Didn't want to leave you hanging back, but I love the conversation between the two of you. It was amazing. But this is somebody who can speak on Universal very, very recently. Please, the floor is yours, Wizard. Whatever you want to bring up.
Oh, hi. Well, first of all, man, I hope Disney does better too. But hold on there. I don't want them to obliterate Universal. That's not happening. Sorry, sister. No, but but they both should do like absolutely fantastic.
Oh,
working on his volume. Yeah. Let me see.
Yeah, you're muted.
Wizard is set.
How
There's
about
a little
bit better.
delay.
Please go ahead.
Yeah, there's a delay.
Mm-hmm.
stupid phone. Anyway, Villains Land's gonna be great. Hopefully you heard that. Hopefully heard that. Oh,
Yeah.
gosh.
No, I hope so too. I really do. I really hope so. And here's the thing. I've been in the community a really long time, even back in the day with like the Disneyland news groups on AOL and stuff like that. And I remember back in those days, people were wanting a whole villains theme park. You know, this villain stuff, this villains concept has been a thing that fans have wanted for a long time. Years and years and years, right? Right, Erica? And here's the other thing too. You have Universal, which Erika, you brought up, is doing amazing things with like Darkmoor and all that. They kind of tackled their version of the villain's land. So so Disney really has to step it up. And that also might be why, you know, Josh is saying, hey, look, this ain't good enough. I mean, we know that I believe Josh went to Universal, didn't he? The Epic Universe. Maybe he saw what they offer. There you go. And he maybe saw, hey, look, you know what? Based on what I have internally at Disney and based on what I've seen at Universal, what we have isn't good enough. You know what I'm saying? Look, if Josh's mindset is I just want a better product, I don't mind waiting a little longer for it. If the intentions are legitimate and honest, like why this is happening, that's awesome.
Yeah.
But if it's a corporate move to spread out the cost,
exactly,
that's where I'm at.
Nothing rushed ever comes out great. So they need to take their time and really put a lot of effort. It just can't, I keep saying it, it cannot be mediocre.
This is what I have been saying for a while, is that if, you know, Disney as of recently has really been more reactive with what they're bringing to the table, and it's failing left and right. If they could just stop doing that and just focus on creating. And if it takes a while, it takes a while. But when it's finished, it is just going to be chef's kiss and it'll be golden. You know, just focus on the quality of what it is you want to build and create, and put all that energy and money into creating. You can do it. That's why we're so critical of you, because we see the potential and it's irritating. Like, you know, if we didn't love you, we wouldn't be so pissed. Think about it.
Yeah. No, that's true. Like parents out there watching, right? Like you are harder on your kids than you are other people's kids, right? And that's for a reason.
That's a great point.
Right? I want to ask you guys too. What do you guys think about? Okay, so we know, well, at least what we're hearing, Josh wants the Imagineers to go bigger with Villains Land. Cool. Do you think this is possibly why we're seeing delays with Pandora at DCA? Because, you know, it's supposed to, Monsters Inc. was supposed to close early 2026. I mean, is there something there, Vash? What do you think, man?
This is a very interesting point. So let me go ahead and bring this up right here.
Dang, I hadn't even thought of that.
Yeah,
it's actually a story we were gonna cover, but you know, no time. But we did see permits recently filed for the demolition of this Team Disney Anaheim building, not the one at the rear of the park, but actually on the east side. And apparently that is standing in the way of this new parking structure that has been approved for Disneyland Forward and will invariably open up the area to the north of Disney California Adventure, if you get what I'm saying here, and that will allow for Pandora to be constructed. Okay, so you gotta get from here to there to there to there, and then you finally get to Pandora. It is very interesting how this has been delayed, because one could make the argument, did you see the recent box office of the latest Avatar movie? Didn't do so great in comparison to the other Avatar movies. Very good for any franchise. When it's Avatar, the standards are just a little bit higher. So is Disney getting cold feet when it comes to Avatar? Or maybe perhaps Josh is doing the same thing that he is doing with Villains Land here, supposedly saying, this isn't good enough, think bigger, think broader, think better. The timing is very suspicious, OG, to your point. And yeah, Monsters Inc., that is standing in the way of construction of Pandora, is not, I mean, we haven't gotten an end date on that, and we were supposed to by this point. Very, very interesting.
Do you guys think it's going to be like Way of the Water or Fire and Ash incorporated over at Disneyland? I'm just curious.
That's what Josh was saying at D23. He said that it's going to be based on Way of Water and like the next two movies after that or something. It was It was
Oh,
more
really?
based on at D23 he
Wow.
mentioned it was Way of Water and like a couple of the sequels even beyond that.
Wow.
Now I don't know
Okay.
to what degree these other sequels are incorporated into that. It might be like, a character here, a character there, but that's what he said at D23.
Wow. I missed that one.
Yeah, I think the
Oh,
idea
man.
being that the original Avatar came out in 2009, right? And then the original Pandora came out in 2017. And well, now we have a new crew of Imagineers who want to go ahead and put their own stamp on it. But also, too, you want to go ahead and take advantage of the new movies that might be a little bit more relevant.
Right.
Didn't work great for Star Wars Galaxy's Edge, but Pandora, I think they can work that out, right? I think they can facilitate that. And the hope is that, hey, if you do theme it to the new movies and if you do bring it to Disneyland, maybe you can incorporate that into other parks, maybe Paris, because we did hear that was on the table for at least a little while until Lion King was actually the one that was finally announced for that third expansion right there. I don't know. It could be the opposite, OG. It could be thinking maybe instead of going bigger with Avatar, we go smaller based on the box office result that we got in December and January. That could be a case of the case as well. Maybe we go forward with it, but we don't do it as grand. I will say, I've been told this in confidence, and I wish Wizard was on so that I could ask him whether or not I could go forward with this. There has been at least one attraction, maybe OG, you know this, maybe you don't, that we know of that has maybe had some cuts already. I don't know whether or not Josh Chiamaro being the CEO or any of that had anything to do with it. I'm not sure. I'm just saying it's a little discouraging to hear that news while we hear something quite the opposite with Villains Land. I don't quite know what to take from all of that. Please.
Well, that's interesting, yeah, because Villains Land is in a situation, where they're, in Florida, where Disney is seeing increased competition, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So it seems like there's a little bit more of a sense of urgency out here
That's
in
a good point.
California, right? Out here in California, it's like Disneyland. And look, Universal, I love Universal Hollywood. I'm there almost every weekend. I hang out with Wizard almost every weekend. I love Universal out here, but realistically, it's never going to be a multi-day, like it's never going to be like a multi-park resort like Disneyland Resort is. There's just Disneyland is king out here in Southern California. So there might be less incentive for Disney to go all in at, compared to the Florida counterpart at this time. They're feeling the heat a little more in Florida. I really hope they don't budget this Avatar thing, just because I feel DCA has historically been, just kind of
right.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like you sit just feet away from Walt Disney's original park. I mean, you got to go big. I mean, I know it's not Disneyland, but I mean, you could throw a rock from one park to the next. I mean, you got to go big with this thing. You got to make DCA at least somewhat comparable to what's across the way. And this would help a whole lot. I don't know. I mean, we'll see, I mean, it's crazy. I mean, if they want to rethink where they're putting it, if they want to maybe do the symbol lot, I mean, that might work a little better than Hollywoodland. The Hollywoodland thing was interesting anyway. I don't know what that was about. I don't know if it was because they already have maybe the infrastructure underground, like the waterways and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
It's possible they decided, okay, well, this is already equipped for water and things like that, so we'll put it here. Symbol lot, you're kind of starting from scratch a little bit. I don't know what that whole thing was about, but yeah, but I don't know. Maybe they'll rethink that. But another thing too that I want to bring up, and Vash, you mentioned this on my channel a long time ago, but you absolutely hit the nail on the head.
Ooh.
Bob Iger spent a lot of money to buy Fox.
70 billion, I believe. Yes,
70 billion, and I think it was like 50 billion once he sold like the sports stuff, right? But even 50 billion is a lot of money, right? You have to justify that to some degree here. And how do you do that? Well, you build things like Pandora and you expand your Fox, theme park, footprint, right? But Josh Chiamaro doesn't have that baggage, though.
That's it.
He doesn't have that baggage, Vash.
Not yet. Not yet.
I forgot about this point. Yes.
I feel like I need a shot of tequila after that one.
remember, Bob Iger. Okay, his first earnings call back in the seat after Bob Chapek was ousted in December of 2022, or maybe November of 2022. It was very, very late right there. His first earnings call back. This was February of 2023. He announces Avatar. Why? Because there were a lot of rumblings at that time. Hey, how are you using the Fox properties? How are you using the Fox properties? And Avatar: The Way of Water had just come out. And it's like, here we go. This is a slam dunk right here. Let's go ahead and get Avatar in the parks. And then we didn't hear about anything for a while. And so I think one of the reasons was because I think Bob Iger wasn't quite aware of the financial position that Disney was in until after the earnings call. I was like, oh, this is, we have to rethink this and maybe put these plans off to where we can dedicate, let's say, $60 billion towards the parks division and get them going again. Fine. But as you point out, OG, Bob Iger's out. You see, the pressure's not on him in order to make that work. It's on Josh Giamaro, and that pressure looks very different under that, right? He's inheriting something, and maybe he goes forward and capitalizes on it via Avatar. Maybe he doesn't. That's at his discretion. He would know. I mean, look, he was the head of consumer products as well. So unlike Chapek, who came from consumer products and went to parks, Josh Giamaro inherited parks experiences and products and consumer products with that, right? And so he has an understanding of not just the parks product, but also what sells, what works, why people book vacations, etc. Perhaps maybe they see something in the data that suggests, okay, Avatar is still a safe investment. But it is interesting how it's being delayed. Any of your guys' thoughts here, MJ, Erika?
I hadn't even thought of the Fox deal and what Josh is inheriting and what he is going to do with that, because they have financially just devastated themselves and they've done nothing with any of it to recoup that massive purchase. And they're stuck with it. Nobody else is going to buy it if they tried to sell it. I think the market's just not, you see what's going on in the world in the market right now. And if they tried to sell even parts of it, I think there'd be a lot of like, nah, we don't want it. So Josh has his work cut out for him to make it work. And I'm curious as to how that's going to play out. I feel like, in a sense, the Fox deal has hindered them from, at least in the parks experiences. Now, I don't know how, I don't get into the weeds of the finances. I could be completely wrong on what pot of money, goes, because there's like several pots of money apparently. But I feel like, in a sense, they've put themselves in so much debt. And I'm just thinking simple household finances. I'm just, I'm just a Disney fan, housewife, mother, technically grandmother, and I'm just sitting here like, yeah, that's smart. I'll just buy something for $70 billion and then, let my parks go to hell in a handbasket, because I don't have the money to do with, I don't know. That's just where my brain's at. And I'm probably being very simple-minded and ignorant.
They have been paying down their debt, right? Little by little. It had, I think it started out with $40 billion when Fox was acquired. It's now down a little bit, although it's going very slowly. To your point, Erika, how much of that money could have otherwise been spent in the parks? We may never know that answer, but it's a lot of money. It's a lot of debt load to have to pay down.
Imagine that kind of money in my bank account. I have no concept. It's so much. I literally cannot fathom numbers like that sitting anywhere. It's, to us, like blue collared folks, and we have a different perspective. We're not sitting in these seats dealing with like 6, 7, 8 figures, of
true.
Budgets. That's why I say ignorance is probably speaking here. But just on a very simple, I just feel like all of that could have been put towards the creative and Imagineering and them focusing on creating their own IPs. Do you really think Disney, Walt, would have wanted to purchase other people's properties? He didn't even want a sequel to Mary Poppins, for crying out loud, because he was all about constantly putting out original stuff, and Disney being the pioneers and leading the industry in entertainment and in theme parks.
Yep.
They lost that.
He wasn't
and
money.
that's what's
He
so
wasn't money
devastating.
driven. He wasn't
no,
money
no.
driven.
That was very clear.
But the reality is, and it's the unfortunate. It's unfortunate, but it's what we live with every day. Corporations just are not going to operate like that. They are money driven, and the more they can make, the better. It's more like beyond just greed. It's quotas and stocks and all these other things. But
it looks great on the spreadsheet, kids.
Yeah, but Walt did not want any of that. He did not care about that. He wanted you to go and enjoy a place that he had in mind, that he designed, and he wanted you to just forget about your worries and your troubles and enter this place, this happy place, if you will. That's just, but these guys are not gonna, we are so far over that, even in like, look what we've done over the last, I don't even know, decades. Humankind just naturally, we just destroy ourselves. It's like, I don't know. It's crazy.
OJ, what you got there? Because I can tell you.
I know you're itching to talk. And please, I want to go ahead and give you the final word on this because, I've got to make sure you are properly, promoted. But please go ahead.
Please, if we got to go wrap it up, that's fine. I mean, I'm just saying it's a shame, but it is true. We destroy ourselves, and money is the root of all evil. But for as long as we have certain people in charge, there could be a balance. There could be a balance of quality with, yes, we have to make money. We have people on our payroll, but let's not lose sight of what Walt wanted. This is his company. The day it's not Walt, Disney World, then we can change the name and, put a different name on it. Then you can, what I mean.
have heard there have been ideas about taking Walt off of Walt Disney World.
So
crazy
sad.
thought. Go ahead, Ochi, please.
I've heard that too.
Your thoughts.
Now, I have a little bit of a different take when it comes to the acquisitions and stuff. I'm not 100% certain that Walt would be opposed to those nowadays, because we kind of saw him kind of dabbling. Now he didn't go full bore with it, obviously, but even with the PL Travers stuff with Mary Poppins, it was like he was like, I want your story to adapt it. All the fairy tales were not his. Yes, I could see him dabbling if he had the money that Disney has now, dabbling in buying talent, like buying.
But he would do something with it is the difference, I guess.
Yeah, that's fair. Absolutely. I mean, it's Walt Disney. Yeah, he's a genius. I mean, he would have done amazing things with it.
He would have figured something out. I'm not just going to buy it and put it on a shelf.
Yeah,
right. No, that's fair. That's a fair point. That's a fair point. I do feel like he was not opposed to bringing in the outside. We've seen him do it, but like, I think that you're right, Erika, where it definitely would have ended up. I mean, it's Walt Disney. You can't. I mean, come on, the guy's
such a massive library, and the sticker price, the ultimate purchase. It's just so huge. It really does kind of, I don't know, distract or undercut. I don't know what the right phrase is for what the Disney company has been and the reputation they've held for years, and that's pioneering in animation and storytelling and immersive experiences in their parks. I'm bringing those stories to life in the parks, but it all being very whimsical and sweep you off your feet storytelling. And even down to your basic meet and greet with a cast member. I can remember a day when encountering a cast member was just as much of a highlight as the rest of your day. And it's just not like that anymore. It's sad, I could go deeper, but I can't, or I will say too much.
Yeah.
I need to stop myself.
well, yeah, no, the cast member thing too. I was watching. I'm actually on my lunch break now, so I was kind of in and out of the conversation earlier on. But like the tattoo stuff was interesting, right? Where it's like here's the thing. What I understand where Disney's coming from, right? I get it. Like you have this younger generation, like everybody has a tattoo. So if you don't adapt or evolve to some degree, I mean, do you just not hire anybody? Like, I mean, there is an issue there where it's like tattoos have become so mainstream where it's like, how do you not hire people with a tattoo at this point, right? At the same time, though, you guys made a great point where it's like, you know, if they're a cast member on Main Street, turn of the century America, and you got, you know, a sleeve, you know, that doesn't really work, right? So it's like
it advertises you're a competitor down the street with the Harry Potter tattoo.
This comment hit so like the Rogue attract the park should used to be it used to like slow down life a bit. Wish we could get that back. You couldn't have said that better. Like in the 90s, I remember just walking, or even in the early 2000s, I would just like something, you know, life, right, happens and you're like, you know what, I'm going to get away. I'm going to go back to my happy place. Even if it's just for the weekend. It's like an escape. It's supposed to do that for us. This is what I love this comment though. I'm so sorry. It's just like it hit so perfect. Oh my God.
Well, no, he's right. He's 100% right. And I feel as a society,
right.
we're kind of lost sight of that, because it's like, I think we're all like social media and all that stuff has really changed how we kind of live life. No one's living in the present moment anymore. You know, it's all this doom scrolling and all this other nonsense. And it's like, you know, even when you're at the parks or you're doing something or on vacation, everyone's on their phone instead of like focusing on, hey, I'm here with my family.
Exactly.
Let's spend time together, you know?
Exactly.
And Disney has internal language about this. They call it phone fatigue internally. They know it exists, and that's actually why they got rid of mobile checkout, at least up until I think World of Disney.
They did.
The only place
I enjoyed it because
Yeah.
I got to avoid. I'm sorry, that's how bad the customer service has been as of late. I actually used mobile checkout because I didn't know what attitude I was going to encounter on the other side of the counter. And you know, I come from a family that, you know, worked for Disney for 25 years. So Disney has just been embedded in our family. And I know it's one of those, you know, too much.
That's very true.
And I'm not going to school you on how you should do your job. So to avoid that conflict and conversation, I will just do mobile checkout.
It really sucks because it's like you got a handful that have an attitude and then the rest are like,
I've had them roll their eyes at me when I'm actually complimenting them.
I'll come and they bring it to you. I'm like, oh my gosh, where did this cast member fall from? The kingdom of heaven? Like, and then you have the other ones that are like coming out of real villains land from the real deal film. And it's like, oh, I'm so sorry. I'm not a pass holder. No, you know.
Yeah.
I don't, no discount. No, I'll pay extra.
I've actually done that. I've avoided using my annual pass discount because I didn't want to get the attitude, and I paid full price. Yeah, it's been that bad.
It's so bad.
Oh, well, I want to have a conversation with you, Erika, about that.
Yeah.
But I know OG is on his lunch break right here, and I would be remiss if we didn't actually promote the amazing Orange Grove 55 right there. Also, too, OG, could you put in maybe the link to the channel where we are going to be appearing actually later tonight to continue these conversations and so much more. Right?
Absolutely.
And
absolutely. I appreciate you, Vash. Congratulations. Your new channel. You hit the ground running. Huge success already. Really proud of you, brother. So keep up the great work, dude. And you know, I mean, we're back, baby, right?
We're back. Yes, we are back for sure. And I know a lot of people in the chat are like, "Oh, yes, the two back together again." Yes, absolutely. I'm going to be making more appearances on OG55, and OG55 is very welcome to attend any of our amazing programs and presentations on this specific channel right here. I actually do want to get an evening stream so that we can invite more of our West Coast friends onto the channel on a more consistent basis right there. I'm going to be putting out a community poll actually to discuss with everybody who is subscribed to the channel right now, which by the way, we've crossed the 500. Awesome. But I want to go ahead and know from you what time is best. So absolutely right there. But subscribe to OG55 right there. Anything else before you leave, sir?
Yeah, no, and Remy said, the balance take, when it comes to the tattoos. And yeah, I mean, it is, because it's like, it's a very nuanced kind of thing with these tattoos, right? Mm-hmm. All these younger people, not all, but a lot of younger people have tattoos, which, okay, but then you also have, like people have been saying in the chat, and they're not wrong, there are tattoos that are inappropriate. So you have a lot of it kind of depends on what the cast member has tattooed on them and what area of the park they're positioned in and all kinds of stuff, so there's a lot of nuance here with that whole topic, which is fascinating. And but again, I want to thank Vash Sky, Erika, MJ, thank you so much for having me today. I want to thank everybody.
Nice meeting you.
Absolutely. It's great meeting you too. I want to thank everybody for joining us in the chat. And Vash, I'll see you tonight. I'll be linking it in the comments after I take off. Vash will be joining Jared from Capture the Magic, myself, and Theme Park Philosophy tonight live stream. We're talking parks. It's a bi-weekly show we do. So everybody at home, if you can, check it out.
Theme Park Philosophy.
Thank you so much, OG. Very much appreciate that. Sorry, I was muted. Thank you. Awesome stuff right there. Absolutely. Go check out OG55. He is a wonderful content creator, and should be a great show tonight. Make sure you put it in the chat, though. Thank you, OG. Very much. I appreciate that.
Have a great day, everybody.
Thank you, sir. All right.
We should create our own theme park for shits and giggles.
Yes, we should. And actually, O2OR was talking about how we should do a poll on your favorite theme park. I agree. We should do that.
I love that.
The next, yes, we'll do that the next time here as
You
we
might
are
be surprised at my answer.
Oh, okay. Well,
you got a question right there, Vash.
Oh, Vash, are we going to Meg's Vaughn? Oh, yeah, MegaCon. I don't know. Well, actually, I know people have wanted me there. They want to see me there. Maybe, possibly, maybe we'll work it out. I don't know. But if I do, well, I got to be down there to see, well, MJ, Ron, everybody that's down there. Be pretty cool for sure. By the way, speaking of MJ, MJ, what do you got going on in your neck of the woods when it comes to, all your social medias out there?
Oh, thank you. Vash, today's show was great. I am beyond thrilled for you. This is just great stuff, and your channel is taking off like a rocket, like I said it would. And I'm just so happy for the invite and happy to be here hanging out with all our friends, Erika and Raph. I go on their Brood Banter show on Fridays. I'm on that Park Place Mondays and Wednesdays at 12 p.m. Eastern. And I'll be on this podcast as well, Vash Sky ParkCast. And this is a great place to be and very grateful. Oh, I'm also on Follow the Bradley's Fun and join him for the dish. I think he has a dish tonight. His show is at 7:30 p.m. Eastern tonight. So please like and subscribe and follow all of our friends. You can find me on Instagram and X. It's the same, Magically MJ1L. And thank you so much. I do have some really cool affiliate links on there, so you'll find those interesting. And I do appreciate that. Thank you very much, good sir.
Awesome stuff, MJ. Thank you so much for producing in the background and doing all those amazing things.
Don't tell anyone I'm doing that. Shush.
What? Well,
I'm disappearing again into the abyss.
No, I had to provide credit for everybody who contributes in any way that they can, whether they be panelist, producer, contributor, or anything else.
It's been fun hanging out here in the back, though, man. This is great. I love it. This is just so much fun. It's a whole new world for me.
Doing a bang up job right there. So thank you so much. And Erika, one more time for everybody out there. Where can we find you on this great, beautiful web? What do you got going on hanging with Erika and Raph? I think you have a show that everybody is loving to attend. Please tell everybody about that.
So a little bit about the channel. There's a lot of people in chat I've never seen before in other channels. So welcome and nice to meet everyone. My husband and I have a channel. It's called Hanging with Erika and Raf. We are expats in Germany. We've been here for about 12 years. We're in the hot seat to go back to the States. We're also early empty nesters. So we love theme parks. We're originally from Tampa, Florida. I've had family work for the parks, as I mentioned earlier, for 25 years. So our channel is basically just sharing our life experiences, where we're at, what we've been doing. We love Halloween. We go all, and I mean crazy all out for Haunted Mansion on Halloween. That's a big deal for us every year. But we also have videos up on Christmas markets and just life in Germany. And then recently, about a month ago, we started live streaming. And all it is bring your brew, coffee, tea, beer. It's a brewed beverage. And we call the stream Brewed Banter. And we just banter with friends. There's no specific topics or niche. It's just sitting around like you're in our living room or like we're around a fire pit. And we are just shooting the bull with friends.
I love the fire pit.
See?
Oh man.
See, I was PG on that one. And we can get kind of spicy in conversation, just so you guys know. I wouldn't say it's really kid friendly. We literally can banter about anything. I mean, we are military. So yeah.
That's right.
Language.
Well,
Great stuff.
we love our veterans and our military for sure. That's no question right there. Thank you so much, Erika, for bringing your unique flavors for sure to the live streaming game.
Oh yeah,
I love
we're
being
also
on your show. Love your
Cuban,
show.
Puerto Rican, and Panamanian, so we got a lot of flavor going into our language.
There's a lot of flavor right there for sure. No, but you do a great job. You do excellent work right there, and I was not only happy to help, but happy to be a part of it. Seriously, what you present right there has given me so much thought, inspiration, etc. Please go ahead and subscribe to Hanging with Erika and Raf. I do believe we need a link in the chat right there. There you go. You can go ahead and do that. Please. Go ahead and support. And thank you for supporting this first ever stream here on Vash Sky ParkCast. Couldn't even say my name. That's great. But
you got one more question here that I starred for you.
Oh, yes, please.
Yeah. Vash?
Oh, yes.
Will you stream from Disney? Yes. Mm-hmm.
Will you stream from Disney? Maybe. I've been thinking about this. I might. And I know just the people to talk to about this. In fact, they may actually be on the next show. Very interesting. But no, I've thought about this. Yes, I do want to do some of that. The question is when and where. But don't worry, I will let you know for sure on that. Like I said, I'm going to be putting out a community poll discussing, for a nighttime show, when would you want it? I know a lot of people have their favorites and so forth, and unfortunately, there's not enough hours in the day. We have to stream over somebody, which I'd like to minimize.
I'm overseas, so there's that. Time zones.
Right.
But you know what? If people want a live streamer that's on the West Coast, Barry's Place 28, shout out to them. He is a great vlogger from the parks. And maybe we can get, I don't know if we have his link, but he is, I've been dying to go to Disneyland and he is just taking me with him all the time. So it's really cool.
He's fantastic. I wanted to get him on this show. I just, unfortunately, I couldn't get the invites out quick enough in order to accomplish all the
there
all the
it
people.
is.
But see right there, Barry Place 28.
Yeah.
He's an amazing live streamer in the parks, and sometimes I join him when I'm out there, and we happen to meet up. But I'll be asking him actually about advice about that because I think that'd be really cool. All right, I think that just about does it right here for our first ever stream. Thank you so much. And we did hit our, initial subscriber goal of 500. That way we can unlock amazing new features for you and keep serving you. Videos coming on the way. It's just going to take a little while. Scope has crept up, but hopefully this live stream was a nice, taste of what's to come. Very, very cool. Thank you, MJ. Thank you, Erika. Very much appreciate that. And we will see you off. I don't have an outro, so this is basically the end. We'll see you guys later, though. Take care. I can hit the end stream. Maybe. Possibly. There you go, computer. Take care, guys.